Today we're going to deconstruct psychological egoism. Psychological egoism is the philosophy that human nature is ultimately selfish. Human nature is ultimately motivated by its own self-interest, and altruism, true selflessness, doesn't actually exist. It's an illusion. And we've explained different scenarios how even a Marine jumping on a hand grenade to save his comrades, or even somebody giving to the homeless, is ultimately motivated by their own self-interest. At the end of the day, it's not a true altruistic act from the psychological egoist perspective. Now here's where we're going to deconstruct it. So one of the common objections to this is that psychological egoism is unfalsifiable. There's no way that we could actually prove it wrong, because any instance that we give, the psychological egoist is just going to explain that it's motivated by self-interest. But here's my objection to this. Something could be motivated by your self-interest, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the act itself is selfish. And selfishness really isn't a bad thing if it's giving, contributing to the lives of other people, if you're helping other people have a higher well-being. So there's a double-sided coin here to this, and it's that the objection that people give to psychological egoism assumes that selfishness is bad. But selfishness isn't necessarily bad as long as you're doing it in the good of yourself and others benefit from it as well. A simple example of this is like filling your own cup and giving from the overflow, doing things that light you up and give from the overflow. So that's an example of an act that is motivated by your self-interest, but it also helps other people out. Setting boundaries, that's motivated by your self-interest. It's preserving yourself, but you're also giving to other people as well. You're not giving yourself over to people that don't deserve your time, but you're actually helping them to realize that they just can't act like a turd around you. So in a way, that selfish action of setting boundaries is a positive, because you're teaching other people that they can't be treating you like this and that they need to change to get your attention and energy and respect, because your energy is expensive. You can't just give it to anybody. They have to afford it and earn it. So with the unfalsifiability part is you can have selfish intentions but selfless actions. Okay? So this is a key point, is that I could want to help somebody because it makes me feel good. I want to give to the homeless because it makes me feel good and I would feel bad not doing it. That is a selfish reason to do that, but it's still a selfless act if I go about and actually help the homeless, versus somebody at home that doesn't even think about the homeless. They don't feel bad, they don't feel good, it's not even in their conscious awareness, but they're not acting for a greater good. They're just sitting at home watching a football game. So do you see how it's totally different? If somebody at home watching a football game isn't even aware of the problem of racism, homelessness, isn't doing anything about it, then they're not acting selflessly at all, compared to me, who's aware of the issue, but I'm doing it out of guilt, out of white privilege guilt, or whatever it is, right? So this is an example of like a selfish reason, because reasons are ultimately going to be selfish in the end. Why do you go to work? Why do you support your family? Why do you do anything at all? Because it makes you feel good at the end of the day, right? But that doesn't mean that the actions in life that you live is a selfish one. So that's the key objection that I have of deconstructing psychological egoism, is that even if human nature is motivated by its self-interest and is ultimately motivated by selfishness, that doesn't necessarily mean that altruism is an illusion. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is no such thing as a selfless action, even if the intention behind it is selfish. So let me know what you think of that, and have a wonderful day.